All right, welcome to episode number 62 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast. We are recording April the 5th, 2020. My name's Eric. I'm the host of the show. I'm based in Southern Ontario. I'm a hunter, target shooter, ham radio operator, and computer geek. As a first responder, I've witnessed an over-reliance on emergency services during major events. I started a small preparedness company to help people get prepared and be able to look after themselves for at least 72 hours, if not longer.
Well, my name is Ian. I live on Vancouver Island. I'm an outdoor enthusiast, a sport shooter, and my farm's designated handyman.
I'm Alan. I'm a safety trainer, first responder, security expert, and overall safety nerd.
And I'm Hughes from Nova Scotia. I'm a Canadian Armed Forces veteran, volunteer firefighter and station chief, and volunteer search and rescue technician and prepper. I've been preaching and living the prepper lifestyle to varying degrees for the last 6 years or so.
My name is Tyler. I live in Northwest Wisconsin. Besides prepping, I'm also into homesteading, metalworking, engines, guns, and the great outdoors.
Oh,
Yeah, we can't hear you, Colin.
Still muted, Colin.
Does he know he's got to hit the button on the screen?
And that's Colin. He lives in Pembroke. He's an outdoor enthusiast, sport shooter, hunter, reloader, welder, 21-plus year military veteran, veterans advocate. He also teaches new shooters and coaches at the range.
Thanks.
And if you want to help support the show and keep the Canadian Prepper Podcast on the air, buy a Canadian Prepper Podcast t-shirt at www.rapidsurvival.com. All proceeds help keep the lights on and the backup generator fueled.
And if you're enjoying the show, please take a few minutes and like us on Facebook and submit a review on iTunes. We want your feedback, good or bad, or if there's a topic you want us to cover. You can email us at the show, feedback@prepperpodcast.ca.
All right, so we've got some portable content for you in this episode. We're going to start off with some preparedness-related news. Then we're going to move into how we've improved our preparedness since the last episode. We'll get into the main topic, what is in our pockets for everyday carry. So let's move into some news articles.
All right, I think, Alan, you had something?
I skipped out on this entirely. I got too involved in the AV portion of my show notes today.
Show and tell is good. Okay, so for myself, a couple stories from the local events that are happening right now. Wolves and intruders. So because most of the forestry has been shut down, not just because of the COVID-19 thing, but also because of the economy. They actually had a U.S. forestry company buy our local forestry company, and all the logging has been cut down and pretty much shut down completely, I guess, for about 2 months now. And so for the first time in the 7 years we've lived here, the older daughter was out walking the dogs and heard wolves for the first time. And there's no coyotes on the island, and the wolves are normally restricted to just the spine, like the mountain tops. But they've come down, and they're actually getting close, which is kind of nice. It's actually a nice change. It's maybe a little bit of nature regaining things, so it's kind of nice to see. Speaking of predators, though, we also had the intruders. Myself, I've had a guy get chased off the property in the middle of the night by the guard dog, who was sporting a flashlight and I don't know what else, but he got pushed over the fence by the dog. And then one of my local prepper friends here, he actually had a guy try and bust down the front gate I guess ostensibly he was checking his headlights, but I think in reality he was checking to see what he could steal. So we've already had some, I guess, people getting bolder with the times the way they are. So yeah, just some changes going on for sure.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. As far as news and stories go, though, we had some. I put a couple of news articles in there as well. So BC Ferries, of course, links the island to the mainland. It's pretty much a lifeline for everything from fuel supplies, groceries, obviously passenger traffic, tourist traffic. So they've stopped out of Horseshoe Bay completely, which is the northern route to the island. It went down from I think it's about 8 or 9 sailings a day down to 0, and the other one, which is called Tawasin to Duke Point, they are down to 4 a day, which is normally around 8 or 9 as well. So definitely some clawback on the logistical aspect of the island. So that could be a problem down the road too.
Times are changing quickly.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I had though.
So I've got a couple of news articles here. One is from the Globe and Mail. It's just in regards to the Prime Minister says Canadian forces are on standby and ready to assist the provinces. So I know that's caused some people to say, yay, that's good, and some people to completely lose their minds, put the tinfoil hats on. personally, I think it's going to be something that's going to help us out versus not, but I guess we'll find out when we get there. And another article here from Global News, and it says, yes, you should have a coronavirus emergency kit. And then here's what it should include. I read it over. I got a little chuckle because it's basically everything we've said you should have prior to Corona, but they're just spinning it. So shocking, the media is spinning things, and well, hey, at least they're putting the information out there still. They
could just get rid of the coronavirus word and just put emergency kit.
Yeah, it should just read, yes, you should have an emergency kit, and here's what to include. But at least the word is starting to get out there now, and people are starting to kind of wake up and realize that they should be a little bit more prepared than they have been. So that's good to see, at least. Maybe a little bit too late, but
absolutely. Yeah, I didn't have any specific articles to link to, but I just thought it was worth mentioning. The CDC now recommends wearing wearing cloth face coverings in public settings where social distancing is hard to maintain, like grocery stores and pharmacies. Case numbers here in the United States continue to surge, and officials are warning that these upcoming, well, more specifically this upcoming week, but the upcoming 2 weeks are going to be the worst of the outbreak. So stay isolated if possible, only go out when necessary. And just to update, as we record here, the U.S. has roughly 336,000 confirmed cases and just shy of 10,000 deaths. So,
wow.
I find it really surprising that the U.S., with its comparatively low population and population density, has that many more cases than China. I find that really, really surprising.
It surprises me as well. Yep, it makes me wonder if what we got out of China was true, which is overwhelmingly starting to seem like it's not. And it certainly seems like the cases are really exploding here in the States, which is unfortunate. But
I'm certain it's reporting.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think that's certainly part of the equation. But
yeah. All right, so we move into what we've done lately for preps.
Did Hughes or Colony got anything?
Oh yeah. Actually, since last time we talked, done a lot of preps. I've done some pickling, pickled eggs, pickled radishes, just anything that you can pickle. I've been pickling it.
Nice.
Made about a liter of hand sanitizer. This is a little bit of a different mix, though. I found a bottle of isopropyl at home, 95%. So I mixed that with a liter of that with 40 milliliters of glycerin, and I made a spray and added some essential oils, so it leaves your hands smelling like oranges. Works really great too, actually. I'm pretty impressed. What else did we do? I did a ton of reloading, changed the water in the hot tub, and I've just been freezing and more shopping, just stocking up little by little on things I need. That's all.
Good. Yeah, for myself, I now have a lot of time on my hands around my house. I'm still gainfully employed, but so I've done things like similar to Colin. I made my own hand sanitizer. I do have some commercial stuff that I'm kind of keeping in a stockpile. Made my own with some ethyl alcohol actually that I made, and some aloe vera gel, just with a 2-to-1 concentration there. As well as just stuff around the property, getting the vehicles ready for summer, because, getting the winter tires off and all that kind of stuff. So not necessarily preps, but I think I did so much work leading up to this point for the last 3 months. Not saying that there's nothing that I can do, but I'm kind of just in a sit and wait type scenario now. So, but yeah, that's what I did for the last week or so.
All right. For myself, been out and about for work. So just continued to use the decontamination protocol that we put in place prior. Got the seeds for the garden started. So they are sitting downstairs now in the living room by the window, all in different cups and labeled and ready to go. Started planning out our backyard as well and kind of implementing some further security. We've got a new subdivision going in behind us. So we used to be out in the edge of town, out kind of in the boonies, and not anymore. There's a whole new subdivision coming in behind us. So it's time to reevaluate what used to be just forest in behind us is now houses. So it's time to reevaluate kind of access points to the backyard, because there was a half fence back there right now. And with lots more foot traffic and people and stuff moving in behind, we're going to look at ways to properly secure the last little bit of the property. Got the lawn tractor up and running. It's my main workhorse here between spring to fall, just to the edge of winter. So got it out of storage and fired up, and it started. So did a little happy dance, and I'll do the oil change and all that fun stuff probably next weekend when I'm off. So that was it.
Right on. Of course, ever notice that anything breaks only on like Sunday afternoons, Christmas Day, or like during pandemics?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
of course my hot water tank blew out when nothing's open. So
course.
I ended up going to Home Depot, and they did actually have some social distancing measures in place and stuff. They were actually open in limited hours. So I was able to pick up a hot water heater. With the help of a couple of friends there, I was able to get it up to the point where we were ready to get it in the closet where the old hot water heater was, and we found it didn't fit. So,
of course,
even though it was the same height, same everything else, but it's just about an inch and a half too wide. So that was with the baseboard off and everything. So I had to go back for a second run to Home Depot, change out water heaters, and of course, trying to return stuff right now is a bit of an adventure. Yeah, so we finally got that in, but no hot water during a time like this is probably not a good idea when everybody's already like under cabin fever mode. So that was kind of a critical thing.
Everyone's washing their hands.
Yeah, and
need hot water.
Yeah, and plus their tempers are flaring and everything else. So I went out and did a Costco vid run, as we like to call it now. So the Costco vid station here was again good measures in place. They had some plexiglass up, social distancing on the lineups. Limited people in the store, and there were some shortages, but there was toilet paper this time, and we didn't need any, but it's there now. So let's see here. I went to
so everyone can calm down. Is that what you're saying?
Everybody can just chill out on the toilet paper thing. Turns out it's made in Canada, so hey.
Shocking.
Yeah. So I went to the range after the RCMP had been there for 2 days in a row and was expecting to, have a brass extravaganza. Unfortunately, this is the first time it's ever happened, but a guy beat me to it. I was there by like 9 in the morning the next day, and somebody got in there at like 7 or 8 and cleaned it out. So I guess it's high demand again. So anyway, I failed on my middle brass scrounging trip this week. I assembled a new long distance target rifle that the guys on the Patriot podcast have decided to name the Darkness, because it's all black straight across.
Nice. So
we'll be hearing more about the Darkness over the summer, hopefully, if we can get out shooting. Let's see here. The wife and the kid came home from Japan, so they were stuck over there for a little while. Well, not really stuck. They were on a trip, and they came back despite the flights getting oversold and everything else. They managed to sneak onto one, and they're just finishing up the self-isolation now. It was interesting trying to maintain them self-isolation and me doing my thing, and you got to basically just put a Berlin Wall down the house and call it a day. Let's see here. Organized some pantries, so we cleaned out, rotated all the stock to make sure we're using up old stock first, because we're really not going out at all if we can help it. Because of that incident with the guy with the flashlight there, with the guard dog, instead of sleeping in the shed, now he's outside again 24/7, and he's taking right to it again. He chases away random stuff during the night. Reloaded a bunch, burnt more underbrush. I think I put a picture up on the Facebook page where I chop sawed like 2 metric tons of kindling there. It was crazy, all the spare branches we had from chopping down trees. And that'll keep us good for the next few years. I mentioned the BC Ferries thing, but also work. I work at the airport, and talk about a ghost town. I've never seen the airports that empty before. I took pictures. I don't think I posted them up yet, but I will on the Facebook page. But yeah, you basically shoot a cannon down the aisle in the airport. There's just nothing there. It's crazy. So it's like 9/11 was only 3 days long of no flying, and now there's we've been 3 weeks now. So it's gonna have some impacts. And see, but myself, I had to go to work, so I killed off about 3 or 4 days of that last week, and had to finish off my taxes in order to get some money back, and did a file purge, like a paper file purge, just to clean stuff up in the closet, get a little organized, make use of the time at home. So that was it.
Good to hear you have underachieved again this week.
Right, fair enough.
Like I said, we're going to start reserving a couple of pages for you in the show notes each week.
It's like Trevor Furlot with the what did you do in guns this week on Slamfire? He takes about 45 minutes. So I got a little ways to go.
Well, by comparison, I did absolutely nothing. Broke some branches down into kindling, not unlike Ian. Went for a while with the bow saw just to get the summer muscles going again. Did that until my hands started cramping, and then switched to the Sawzall, because why not? Tested a few toys. Got some good stuff happening around the property. Made a trip into the city to stock up the fridge and pantry for some family, but mostly tried to stay home out of trouble. Did complete a Department of Homeland Security incident management course, so they've got about 15 different levels of incident management that that's all online and all free and easy access. So finished level 200. So I started at 100, finished level 200, moving up. Maybe by the end of this whole thing, I'll be ready to go work for Homeland. Other than that, I've been not doing a whole lot of anything, just kind of playing with my toys and cleaning and organizing.
Nice. For myself, similar to Ian's water heater story, I had the kitchen sink actually come separated from the underside of my counter. So I fixed that. As weather here in Wisconsin turns from winter to spring, I'm getting some short windows of nice weather to get outside. So I took advantage of that this week. Restacked the wood pile, cleaned out the woodshed, dropped a large pine tree in the backyard, trimmed about 20 other pine trees on the property, cleared out all of my flower and garden beds, did quite a bit of leaf blowing, picked up tons of leaves, added those to the compost, went around the yard, picked up all the sticks and the branches from over the winter. Went down to the end of the driveway with the skid loader, kind of redid down there, and then graded the whole driveway. With the change of the seasons, I also went through my get home bag and updated a few things. And I made this nifty little inventory card, which just kind of lays out everything I've got inside my bag. And then as the winter weather kind of came back on Friday, we got 2 days of snow there. So I spent some time inside cleaning the house, disinfecting, and then doing some vehicle maintenance, mostly just washing the spring mud off. And then the nice weather returned today, so I took a nice nature hike down by the river, foraging for some mushrooms, specifically looking for chaga mushrooms. So.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But we move into the main topic. So who wants to dump their pockets out first?
I think Alan or Tyler. I think Alan probably did the most effort for this one. Let's let him kick it off.
Sure.
If you're able to show my screen there, I actually took everything out of my car and laid it all out on the tarp that lives in my car. So in my pockets, I carry very little. Car key that has a little pouch with a pair of nitrile gloves. I keep a Zippo with me, a small Gerber folding knife that I got at Bass Pro a couple of weeks ago, and a Coastal Fire pen light. Nothing extravagant. Have my phone, which has a million books and apps, and maps.me is probably one of my favorites because I have everything offline. And I just don't leave the house without that stuff in my pockets. It doesn't really matter where I'm going. If I'm going to the beach, I put it in a bag and take it with me. My car has a lot more equipment in it because typically when I leave the house, it's with my car. In the picture, you can see a tarp there. It's about 6 by 12. I've never actually measured it, but it's about that. In the middle there somewhere is about 100 feet of paracord and a couple of tent stakes. In the front, in kind of the cab, there's the center console. There's a pouch there. So I've got a pair of hatch gloves. So those are slash resistant. Pair of hatch gloves that just kind of keep my hands safe whenever I've got to, handle things, especially sharp edges like broken glass or metal. I've got a window breaker seatbelt cutter. I've actually got like 4 or 5 of them throughout my car because people keep giving them to me. But the Rescue Me tool, it's tiny. It's the size of a car key, and is an absolutely fantastic thing to keep around. It's the best $10 you can spend to get yourself out of trouble. I have a small mesh bag that has a couple of larger folding knives, sharpener, a magnesium fire starter. I keep a little Bic lighter in there, 50 feet of paracord, a small bottle of Purell. Always have a pill bottle with Vaseline soaked cotton balls in it, and wrap that in about 10 feet of duct tape, because if you don't have duct tape, you're doing it wrong. In my center console, again, I have a baggie of napkins and a baggie of condiments and plastic utensils from my drive-through adventures. I save as much as I can there. And usually a tin of Altoids, because when my pager goes off at 3 a.m, I don't brush my teeth before I run out of the house. So morning breath in your mask tastes absolutely disgusting. So I overcome that. About 30 feet of bright orange duct tape wrapped around like an old credit card, which is nice and compact, easy to carry. A couple of Fox 40 whistles, a can of lighter fluid, and a small Pelican flashlight. In my trunk, I have 3 bags. So you can see them all. You can see them all in that picture. I don't know if you guys can see my cursor here, but the bag kind of at the top or the middle right of the screen, that's my first aid kit. Kind of the bottom right of the screen is my tool bag, and then there's a camo bag in the middle here that houses everything else that's on the tarp, in the tarp. So my first aid kit, it's too much stuff to list individually, but it's broken down kind of from the top of the bag down to the bottom fold out in order of life safety priority. So for doing your March assessment, which is massive hemorrhage, airway, respiration, drawing a blank on that, and then hypothermia. But mostly the massive hemorrhage, airway, respirations. So my tourniquets, my pressure dressings are at the top, and then airway, I've got a set of oral pharyngeal airways, pocket mask, and then moving down into the less life-threatening things, the Band-Aids and roller gauze and minor wounds. And then I have right at the bottom a couple of space blankets and some hand warmers. But I was actually reading recently about how space blankets are fairly useless for people who have hypothermia related to trauma. So I'm going to be changing that out at some point to something called a blizzard system. That actually comes through CTOMs, and Eric, maybe we can talk after the show about whether you have access to that. And then in my duffel bag, so that's that bag in the middle there, have a whole bunch of goodies. Starts with a rain suit, so I've got splash pants and a raincoat, like a shell that's about 2 sizes too big for me, so I can layer well under it. Have a little bag, like a collapse pressure bag that I can pack down really nice and compact with a couple of thermal layers, some polypropylene base layers, a couple of pairs of gloves, hats, lots of socks, things to keep me dry and warm. Nice big flannel blanket, which frankly gets used more often at the arena during hockey season than anywhere else. A couple of space blankets again, some hand warmers because those make the world go round. I have a cook kit, which is a single burner propane stove, has a 1 pound propane tank. A couple of bottles of water always live in there. A mess kit that has some oatmeal packs, some chicken soup packets, lots of condiments and things to make it tasty. There's always a bag of trail mix in there. Coffee and tea pack, so I can make as much coffee and tea as I can drink for a couple of days. A life straw, so I can make there be drinkable water if need be. I'll upgrade that to a Sawyer system at some point, but again, I'm doing things in stages. I always have a collapsible bow saw. I actually used that this weekend just because you should always test your gear. Decent sized fixed blade knife. I wouldn't quite call it a machete, but I found that on Gun Nuts for $20 a few years ago, and it's done me well. It's good for batoning wood down. A little collapsible shovel, roll of TP because poo paper is always necessary. One of the things that I break out separately in another little bag is just kind of an everyday overnight kit. So it's just an extra shirt, a pair of socks, change of underwear, and a shave kit, just so that I can, if I get stuck in town, say in bad weather, I can not be wearing the same clothes that I'm wearing today. An old pair of original SWAT boots. They're waterproof. They're nice and tall. They're fairly well insulated. They're not new, but they're comfortable, and they'll get me home if I'm wearing dress shoes or something else that's not necessarily appropriate for walking. For my specific car kit, I have a 20-foot tow strap, a plug-in inflator, and a tire patch kit, and a little 75-watt inverter. I've never used the inverter because just about everything I have runs off a 12-volt system, but it's there just in case. And that's the stuff that lives kind of in my car. And then I have a lunch bag that goes with me every time that has a few more little odds and sods. That's where my multi-tool lives, and I always have like 2 days worth of food in it, another bottle of water, a few things like that. So that's what gets me through my day. And that's all I have to say about that.
That's a lot of stuff.
Is that it?
That's it. That's some big pockets.
Big pocket.
My car is one big EDC.
Yeah, hey, fair enough. If the car is with you all the time, right?
Well, that's it. And then in my car that lives inside the car but outside the bag, I also keep a jug of washer fluid, and of course a spare tire and the ability to change that tire.
No, that's good. That's a lot of stuff. But
and my tool bag
organized.
has all kinds of lock tools because that's what I do.
Jeez, I wonder why.
The ability to open doors, I'm sure will come in handy at some point through the emergency circumstances that we're in.
Yeah. Oh, very nice. For myself, pocket-wise, my pockets are not nearly as large, but I will carry this Smith & Wesson knife here. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but this has been with me for at least, I've carried this at least 12, 13 years now, but it has a little seatbelt cutter on it. It's got the window punch, very effective at smashing windows out and cutting seatbelts. And then it's got a standard blade as well, but great tool to carry around. I will also carry this in my pocket. So I think I talked about this on previous episodes. So this is just a little O-light. Runs on a AAA battery. It's, for the most part, it's been all right. The only thing that gets me with it is the tail cap here. When I have it in my pocket, the way I sit, it sometimes activates it, and I'll go to take it out of my pocket at night, and it's been on all day, which obviously burns the battery out. So I got to figure out a different way to carry it, because having it in my my right pocket just seems to always activate the tail cap. But it is what it is. I'll figure something out there. Again, I'm always carrying my wallet as well. And in my wallet, I've got debit card and some cash, credit card as well. ID, which is obviously always important to have with you. But also, I carry one of these. So it's just a little multi-tool, and you can get them. Like this one just happens to have Rapid Survival logo on it, so a little shameless self-promotion there. But you can get them from any manufacturer makes them. And it's got a little bottle cap opener and a few little screwdrivers and stuff. So it's come in handy a couple of times. So I carry that in the wallet as well. And of course, I think everybody on the panel is going to mention the fact they carry a cell phone. Of course, they're very useful in the times where the cell network's working. Why not utilize it, right? Because it's going to be useful to have. So I've always got that in my pocket. And I also have a backpack that I carry all the time with me for work. So in that, I carry this little guy on the side. So I've got some molly webbing on the side of the backpack. So this is a little IFAK. And in it's got the tourniquet. And then I've got just a Israeli bandage. And then just a set of gloves. And I usually have a bottle of Advil in there as well. If the boss is annoying that day, I can just pop out the Advil and get rid of the headache.
Your tourniquet is also hugely effective for that. Wrap around the neck and tighten until they stop being annoying.
The boss or me?
Whatever.
So that's always in my backpack, and that backpack's with me all the time when I'm at work. So I always carry that with me. And then I'll go a little bit into my vehicle kit as well. So my vehicle kit is set up so that I can transport it between either my work vehicle or my regular vehicle, depending on what I'm doing for the day. So probably 90% of the time it's my work vehicle. But it's got things like I've got a battery booster pack in there. So it's a Genius GB40. So it'll boost my work vehicle. It'll boost my pickup truck, no problem. If I'm out and about and I have to boost somebody else as well, I can get about 3 or 4 boosts out of it before I've just plugged it back in. It could probably go longer than that, but I've only done about 2 or 3 before plugging it back in. I've got little individual water packs, so they're just sealed pouches. They can sit in there in the wintertime too. They'll freeze up, they'll expand, but they won't burst. So at least I've got some water if I need it. Pen and pencil, pad of paper. I've always got at least my little Baofeng UV82. The odd time I'll carry one of my digital radios with me, but at minimum, I've got the little Baofeng with me. And then I keep paper copies of local ham repeaters and all the stations set up across Ontario. Also on my cell phone, I've got an app called Repeater Book. So if the cell phone's operational, why not use it? And it'll actually, based on my GPS location, give me the list of the closest, I think it's 5 or 10 ham radio repeaters and their frequencies and all the tones and the codes that you need to get into them. So it's quite handy to have if I'm somewhere I'm not familiar with. At least I can get on the local repeaters if I need to. Of course, seasonal appropriate clothing. So I haven't swapped my stuff out yet. So I've still got like a pair of ski pants and like a good heavy sweater and some gloves and such. So it's going to be next weekend's project to swap out and do the more spring, summer type of stuff. I carry a couple of lighters. So I've got a couple of just Bic, like little handheld Bic lighters. I've also got one of the lighters with the bigger, longer extendable tube on it. So if I have to kind of get in somewhere else with it, I can. I've got an IFAK that I carry on the headrest. and that is also designed that it can be moved back and forth between the work vehicle and my personal vehicle. So if I'm taking the personal vehicle somewhere, I'll flip it over to the headrest of my pickup truck versus my work car. In that, it's got 2 tourniquets on the side. It's got Fox Seal. So this here, in case I come across something that needs a gaping chest wound of some sort, an Israeli bandage. Again, a couple of sets of gloves, compressed gauze. So I've got the Celox stuff here. And I've got a couple packs of this. I found this was kind of handy to have. It's compressed gauze. So it's just a little packet of gauze, but it's compressed right down. So it doesn't take up a lot of room like you might have with some other types of gauze. So that was kind of handy to have. And it's kind of the quick rundown of what I carry. Of course, it's constantly changing. That's some of the fun stuff with this everyday carry stuff. Is today that could be what you're carrying, and tomorrow you can completely switch it up depending on your situation, or if you find something cool to add to your list. But that's the basics of what's in my stuff, anyways.
Nice. Yeah, I'll take you guys through my EDC. I've kind of got it laid out in order, I guess what would be most likely to find me carrying. Regardless, I'm always going to be leaving the house with my smartphone. I'm going to always have my wallet, and I'm going to always have a set of keys for whatever vehicle I'm driving. Inside the wallet, I'm going to have relevant IDs, any CCW permits, any credit cards, debit cards, insurance cards, those sorts of things. Also good to have cash. I would say bare minimum, have enough cash to fill up your gas tank. So you're looking at like 30, $40 maybe. More is always merrier, but I would say at a minimum that.
That's like 600 Canadian, guys.
So that's going to be my standard EDC if I'm wearing shorts, even if I'm going to the beach, going to the river for swim, tube, kayak. I'm going to make sure I've always got those 3 items. Next, I'm going to have either a ball cap or kind of like a wool hat, depending on the season. And then I'm also going to always have a pair of sunglasses. I can't even see outside without sunglasses anymore. I think my eyes have gotten so sensitive. So those are going to be the items that I always have on me. Most days I'm typically wearing blue jeans, or I really like the Duluth Trading Co., kind of like the cargo pants. So most of the times I'm wearing those. So I've got some extra pockets to work with. And these types of pants also usually force you into wearing a belt. So if you're listening in from the States, that's going to make it a lot easier to conceal carry a firearm. If you are from the United States, research your state laws regarding CCW permits. So that's going to be kind of the next item I carry. I usually have my Springfield XD Mod 2 9mm, and then that comes with a 17-round magazine. And then I usually keep 2 more magazines in my kind of my get home bag or in the car. Also going to have a decent inside the waistband holster as well.
Keep rubbing it in.
Yeah, just keep showing off.
Hey, I'm keeping
Not
it.
to mention the YouTube strike we just got.
I'm keeping it short. Now you guys can black that out. There's my 2 magazines. Black that part out. Let's see what else.
Yeah, it's live.
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah, that's true. Sorry, guys.
Streamlight
Streamlight
has to watch for at least 33 minutes first.
Streamlight Stylus Pro pen. Like probably everybody else on the panel, they carry a little pen light. These are nice. You can get them at Cabela's. They're about $20. These are the flashlights I really like just because they're pretty affordable. Next thing I'm going to be carrying is a folding knife. I just carry a cheapo. This is a Sheffield. I get them right at Fleet Farm. They're about $20, but same thing. It's got the little window breaker and the seatbelt cutter, which works great for cutting baling twine. And then also a Leatherman tool. Multi-tool is going to be very handy. This is a rebarb. They're all pretty nice. Leatherman's good quality. Along with that, also going to carry just a simple Bic lighter. Can't beat that for the weight and the price. Usually have a tube of homemade chapstick. So this is made with just beeswax and coconut oil. Also works well for burns or mosquito bites, things like that. Usually have a pack of gum. A lot of times I'll carry a pen. Spare change. I usually try to keep at least like $1 or $2 in quarters in case I need to pay the parking meter. I use a payphone, which they don't really exist anymore, it seems like, but or get something from the vending machine, snack, bottle of water, something like that. And then lately, of course, like everyone else, probably carrying a little bit of hand sanitizer around, and then I can refill that myself now. But so that's going to be kind of my EDC at work or around town. If I'm going into the woods, I'm going to go ahead and add a fixed blade. So I've got just the Seal Strike. It's been a good knife. I guess I don't really know what else to say about that. And then usually throw in a pack of little flushable wipes. I'm sure you guys can use your imagination on what those are for, but that's what I'd probably add on my pants or in my pockets if I'm going out into the woods. Along with everyone else, I also keep a get home bag in my daily driver car. This doubles nicely as a camping or hiking backpack. This is also going to serve basically as my bug out bag in the unlikely scenario that I actually decide to bug out. This bag's well stocked with quality components, and I'm able to kind of tailor my EDC based on what I'm doing right out of the backpack. So it's always there. I know all my good supplies are kind of in there. I know where to find them quick and easy. Each of the vehicles has a basic emergency kit with tow straps, jumper cables, hand tools, blanket, food, water, that sorts of thing. And then just another tip with EDC. So something that I like to do, I kind of call it, I keep my pants loaded. So I keep everything in the pockets, keep the belt strung through the loops. Everything's there. Usually I'll pull my firearm out when I get home, put that in the nightstand drawer, wherever I store it. And then everything else just gets hung on in the walk-in closet there or whatever. So if that doesn't work for you, find like a box as you walk in the door to drop everything in, or the nightstand drawer next to your bed, but just know where you actually keep your EDC items so you can get them quick. The reason I leave them kind of loaded in my pants is if there's a fire, or if I need to run outside quick, I can slip on my pants and I know everything is there ready to go, and I can basically run out the door in just a few seconds. So
I'm sure Hughes is a lot like me, where because of the need to run is pretty common. Same thing. I've got the clothes that I plan to run out the door and have all the stuff I need to just load and go at 2 a.m. and off we run for a few hours.
Yeah, I've got kind of the same thing where I wear fire department gear to fire department calls, because if I damage my own gear, they're not going to replace it. But I typically have my fire department gear in the garage just ready to go, so I can run downstairs if I get a call. And I mean, I aim to be out of the house within about 30 to 45 seconds. And basically, it's just a matter of putting on those pants, the shirt. I do keep some gear within the pants. It's not the typical EDC that I have. So maybe with that, Tyler, if you were done, I'll kind of go into my EDC, I guess.
yeah, please do.
So I got started with prepping with EDC. That's where it all started. And then from there, I kind of moved into what people did to be prepared for longer term stuff other than what you carried on yourself every day. So for me, it was kind of like an evolution of like trying to stuff as many things as I could in my pockets to be as prepared for anything that I could, to moving to more of a minimalist approach. So for the last 2 or 3 years now, I carry about $200 to $250 in cash, which, like Tyler pointed out, it's good to, I can fill up my tank of fuel in my truck if I had to. I can buy some supplies or food or anything like that. I've got a minimalist wallet that only has my driver's license, my fire ID, and 3 credit cards. I've got a SOG Flash 2 assisted open knife, so it's not an illegal knife here in Canada. It's assisted open. I wish I had it here so I could show you guys, but I don't. I typically carry a Leatherman Skeletal, which is a really minimalist multi-tool, and the reason I like it is because it's not on the bulky side, and it still has everything that I need to get the job done. One thing about it too is that it's got a multitude of bits for the screwdriver, which I keep in my truck. So if I know I'm going to be using it, I'll take those bits with me. I've got quite a few flashlights. I've got some Phoenix, some Olights. The one that I carry with me now, I don't know the exact model, but it's a Phoenix that has a 14500 lithium battery. And the reason I like it is because the 14500 obviously is a rechargeable battery. It's a high output, high power. But if the battery dies, I can actually put a AA in there, and it's going to work just as fine. It's just that the output of light is actually cut in half. So instead of being like 500 lumens, I think the max is like 250 if you're using a standard AA battery. Other than that, I keep my truck key, which has a speed pass for fuel on it. So if I lose my wallet, I can still get fuel with the speed pass. Glasses and sunglasses as well. And then on my YouTube channel, some of the first videos that I made were about what I keep in my truck. So I've got a Dodge Ram truck that has a Ram boxes, so that cargo management system that goes on either side of the bed. And I don't think I would buy a truck without it, because both of those are loaded down with tools, recovery straps, first aid kits, booster pack, fire extinguisher. Anyways, I made like a half-hour video of everything that's in the truck, so I'm not going to go over it now, but everything that everything that I could possibly need, I've thought out over the past 5 or 6 years are in that truck, along with a get home bag. Being that I live in a rural area, I'm not going to walk anywhere. I'm taking a truck, right? There's the odd time where if the family and I are going out, we're going to take the wife's minivan, but there is an emergency kit in there. It's just not as complex as the one that I've got in the truck. But otherwise, that's it. I've taken more of a minimalist approach because I found that over the course of the last few years, a lot of the stuff that I had on me that I never used, I kind of got rid of it and kind of went to just, less is better in the sense that I'm not carrying a whole lot of gear all the time, especially when I'm not using it often, right? Now, I didn't get rid of that stuff. It's in the truck. So again, if I go somewhere, the truck is going with me, so that gear is still with me. It's just not on my person at all times. And that's kind of the approach that I have, I guess.
Yeah, it's a good point to kind of evaluate what you're carrying and always evaluate it every once in a while to make sure that you're not carrying stuff that you're not really going to use, right?
Yeah, and I mean, the first thing that I noticed is that I bought a Phoenix flashlight, which was like 1,000 lumen. It had like an 18650 battery. The thing was just amazingly bright, but it was amazingly big. And carrying that in your pocket all the time, like I felt it there. I would sit down and I know that it's there. It was annoying. I said, you know what? I've got to go to something that is obviously going to be not as powerful, but it's a compromise between portability and use and the usability of the item, right? Which is why, I mean, I keep that Phoenix 18650 flashlight in my truck now, which is great because it's 1,000 lumen handheld light, but I went to something smaller to carry in my pocket so that it doesn't imprint on my pants. It's not like I carry a handgun or anything, unfortunately, because we live in Canada, but I don't want that bulging flashlight in my pants either, right?
Yeah.
So
The jokes that could be made right now.
I know. Get awkward, right?
It's not like I carry a banana on me, guys. Like,
Is that a fire extinguisher in your pocket, or are you just happy to see this?
And you'd have more friends if you put it in your front pocket as opposed to your back pocket, right?
That's right.
And this is where we just made a wrong turn.
Yeah. Colin, what do you got?
Okay. I usually don't carry a whole lot on my person when I'm traveling out and about because I usually have a day bag, and I have my truck as well. And there's a lot of duplicity between what's in my bag, what's in my truck. It's just some of the items are perhaps bigger and heavier that go in my truck that might go in my bag. But on my person, I have a minimalist wallet. This one here is by M Gear. And it's carbon fiber and got a few features on it. It's got a clip on one side for cash, and it just holds a minimum amount of cards. But I've found actually now that I've started using this, that my big fat wallet that does nothing but collect receipts and has no money in it, it's great to have this. That wallet, I could still put it in the console of my truck. I still have all my other cards that I don't use all the time, but I do need them once in a while. I usually have a flashlight in my pocket. This one's got some duct tape wrapped around it because you never know when you need some duct tape. In terms of a multi-tool, I have one of these Leatherman MUTs. They come in different configurations, but for myself, being a firearms enthusiast, I love this one because this was geared actually towards an AR-15. It has a carbon scraping tool on it that's brass, and it shouldn't damage any metal. It has threaded holes in here, which work with standardized NATO cleaning rods. It has a punch here that's actually specific to the AR-15. You punch out your trigger components and parts and stuff like that. So that's pretty handy. And just all the other stuff on it is great. Here's something else. It also comes with this wrench on the back, which is perfect for a lot of the, here's a Vortex scope, and that wrench works perfectly for cranking down my scope if it gets a little bit loose, as well as there's some Torx wrenches and stuff on the tool itself that are designed for a lot of like scope rings and stuff like that. It's the right size for it. So in terms of an everyday carry tool, I like this because I'm always usually out with my firearm or out shooting or stuff like that. In terms of Cash, I usually carry a little bit of cash. I got $1,000 that'll usually get you through almost anything. And in terms of light, I do have a Phoenix PD35. I love this light. It's great. It's a very focused beam. You can see that right here. Very focused, 1,000 lumens. And it does use an 18650 battery. I'll show you quick. An 18650 battery is essentially like a CR123, but put into one battery. This would be like two CR123s, and it's rechargeable. I like it. The only thing I don't like about this light is the fact that when it's on, it can get very, very hot. So if you do have it in your pocket and it goes on accidentally, you'll know in a minute or two because your pants will be basically on fire, which has happened to me a few times. So what I do is I just take the tail cap and I give it a quarter twist, and then it doesn't work until I'm ready to crank it on.
So your pants are on fire because Hughes has his flashlight in his front pocket too?
Oh,
exactly, right? And the other thing that I tell everyone, I was telling this to my fiance, I tell it to my daughters, if you're going to carry one item that is probably one of the best passive-aggressive non-lethal weapons, it'd be a bright light. Like, shining that in someone's face and they can't see, you basically rendered them, unable to cause a whole lot of harm on you if they can't even see you. I've diffused a lot of situations. I mean, working at bars or even kids goofing around across the street, causing a ruckus, just shining a light on someone. And
you've bought yourself some time to move too.
Yeah, it pacifies people, especially people who are impaired quite a bit.
Yes.
You shine a bright light in their face and they're no longer aggressive anymore, right? They have to just slow right down because not only are they perhaps impaired, but now they can't see. So this is my number one pick for if you had to defend yourself. And you could also, it's a tough light. If you had to strike someone with it, I wouldn't suggest doing that unless it was absolutely necessary. But if you had to, you could. So those are just a few of the items that I carry. And of course, I always have my prescription glasses that are also, good when I go to the range and stuff. Of course, in my bag, I carry a 511 bag, and a lot of the same items are in my bag that are perhaps in my truck. I carry my medications. I'm diabetic, so I'll carry my meds in my bag. Another item, a battery to charge up my electronics is handy. I don't know about you guys, but I always have a laser rangefinder because I'm always out and about in the range.
You never know when you have to send it, right?
That's right. I have a monocular. This one has MRAD reticle pattern in it, so I can actually use it to help me judge distance as well. But that's a topic for another day. I usually carry some sharpening equipment. I have DMT stone, diamond stone. I like this Spyderco kit. You can sharpen just about anything with it. And being a bit of a knife nerd, I also have a strap block that I got from Opiongo Bushcraft. If you're not familiar with them, check them out on Instagram. And I have some polishing compound on there, so I can put a nice razor edge on any knife pretty much. I usually carry a 10-round mag at least. Some 223 ammo. Let's see what's up here. GPS, like a wrist-mounted one. Oh, headlamp. Why? Because nothing's more frustrating than trying to see in the dark when you're trying to change a tire in your car. This is hands-free, right? Pretty handy. Oh. I usually I live out of this bag basically. So if I go to Tracy's for the weekend, I got clothes in here. I have what I call snivel kit. In other words, like a toque, gloves. I usually carry a schmog as well, because it not only makes a great scarf, but I've found from my trips to Cuba that being fair-skinned, that after a few days of baking to death in the sun, sometimes it's great to have this around. I mean, I can, on a hot day, I can put it in some cold water and roll it up and throw it around my neck, and just having that around my neck can cool me off. And if I'm really, really sunburnt, I can, use it to cover my head, my neck, stuff like that. Also, it's great. You can wrap things in it. You can carry stuff with it. You can use it for filtering water. This is just another thing that I think everyone should have in their bag. I usually always have something that wasn't mentioned, but I usually always have eye drops in my bag, because you never know. You're out on the range or you're out at the beach or anything, you get a little bit of sand in your eye or anything, and then it makes for a bad day, right? Of course, all the usual items, toilet paper, stuff like that. But like I say, everything I usually have in my bag, I usually have the same things in my truck. I have the same things at home. It's just through experience, through using a bag every day to carry my meds around and to travel back and forth to see Tracy, and moving my daughter's furniture with the truck. I got cargo straps in my truck. I have a blanket, to protect my truck window or something. I got things pushed up against that. I have some basic tools in my truck. I have a first aid kit in my truck. I also carry one in my bag, because those are gotta have items. Another thing I like to carry in my bag is Teflon tape, electrical tape, zip ties are another great thing. Of course, paracord helped win the Second World War. And a quick story about paracord. I had a Dodge Caravan. I'll never own one ever again. I hate it. But I had one for a number of years, and I had a fan belt blew on me. So it was cold, -40, and I was stuck. And I was able to actually take some paracord, take the guts out of it, and tie it around my fan belt. And it actually got me to the garage. So yay for paracord. But yeah, I think that's about it. But just basically on me, if I had a multi-tool, a flashlight, and a very minimalist wallet, as well as I'm always carrying around my Baofeng so I can listen to weather channels, the local FM station, or just listen to the police scanner, because I like to hear what's going on, and some police frequencies. I like to know what's going on in my community. Most people watch television. I like to listen to the scanner while I'm reloading and find it relaxing.
It's always handy to have one of those Baofengs kicking around.
It is. It is. I have, I think, 4 of them. Yeah.
I've got at least 4. Maybe more.
Maybe a few more.
Yeah,
Well,
at least.
I'm going against the grain. I'm gonna be the shortest event ever. Like I don't want to think I'm like overcomplicating and being a teenager here, but like I've got stuff. But, okay, so if you'll allow me to spurg out for a moment here on the knives, it looks like Eric and I are knife twins. Look at that.
Look at that.
It's the Smith & Wesson Extreme Ops is what you have there, Eric. It's as seen on the movie End of Watch with Jake Gyllenhaal. But in a completely unrelated note, actually I liked it too because of all the features you mentioned. That was my go-to carry knife for the longest time. But I always found that a lot of people got all intimidated when they saw something black and scary. It's like black rifles, oh my god, it opens fast. So what I ended up doing is I went into a series of knives depending on what I was doing. So of course, around the farm, my last birthday present we talked about in the podcast, around the farm, it's always the fixed blade for everything from cutting open hay bales to feed bags to whatever. And it's nice to have a solid fixed blade. I actually had to break myself out of a chicken coop once. Embarrassing story. Everyday carry now is more of a subdued knife. It's it doesn't look so scary when it opens, but it's like a thicker blade, a little tougher, and it's just a zero tolerance knife. But then when I go out in town and get all fancy, and you want to, if you're around people that are all about the show, you want to make sure you have something that's a little more classic lines. And so I always depending on who I'm around is what I wear. So I kind of adjust my EDC as we go. So knife being the number one thing for everybody to carry, I think. Always should. It's like the most useful tool ever invented. Flashlights, I went the extreme opposite of you guys. I went with the Made in China dollar specials. I think I mentioned these on my $500 to prep episode.
Yep.
So these both take a single AA battery. This one's kind of neat in the fact that it has the side light as well as the end light. And depending on how many clicks you click the button on, it'll either display all or one, or just the one on the side or whatever. So for changing a tire, you can just stand it up and it'll shine a big kind of a banner light against the tire. The reason I do that is because I'm cheap, which is part of the problem. But also the fact is that working around here on the farm, I mean, if something breaks, I don't care. I just toss it and grab another one, because there's always something getting smashed and destroyed around here. And it would break my heart to see a nice Pelican light or an O-light getting broken. So I do have a fancy O-light in my work bag that I take to work, and which brings me to my next point, I guess. So depending on where I'm going and what I have around me, I tend to do what I guess you guys all kind of did a combo of. My EDC basically gets dispersed around what I'm driving around in. So if I'm driving around on a farm quad, the back of the quad has a bunch of stuff. The truck has everything from a first aid kit to, spare tire stuff to everything else. Always got cash on me. We talked about our EDC there in another previous episode about the traveling EDC. And so for work, I'm always traveling. And so I've got everything from first aid kit to paracord to cash to everything always with me on the road. And then the other thing that's kind of different from the rest of you guys is to assuage my paranoia a little bit. My wallet is a copper lined one that takes out the RFID aspect of most IDs.
I've got that when I'm traveling.
Yeah, because you never know if somebody's like gonna, not just for the paranoia aspect, but I mean there is somebody that can come along with a credit card scanner and scan your credit card and do some identity theft on you. That's a problem, and I'm always in some shady areas with work. So yeah, it's proven itself. It's big enough to carry everything I need with me on the go. And of course, a PAL is always something you want to have on you. I think that's one thing we didn't mention. Not just for ID during elections, but also in case you don't want to forget it when you go to the range, right?
It is fun to use it as ID during an election, though.
Yeah, you get to trigger some people literally.
It sure does.
So really, other than actually on my pocket EDC, it's basically wallet, knife, flashlight, and maybe operation specific stuff, but I really kind of do ultra minimalist on my person, because usually I've got stuff squirreled away everywhere on the vehicles or whatever. So honestly, mine's got to be the shortest entry ever. But
nothing wrong with that.
It works.
One little quick note about those Smith & Wesson knives, guys. Make sure you've actually tried them with the window breaker and the seatbelt cutter. Because there's nothing more embarrassing than having something like that and not being able to use it. First time I ever tried to cut a seatbelt, I tried to go straight across, and that doesn't work well. So just get the technique down.
The best thing to do with that? Go to the junkyard.
I was just going to say, go to the junkyard, and you can cut a few seatbelts, break a few windows, and just get be intimately familiar with your gear before you rely on it.
See the edge of mine; it's smashed a few windows in its day.
Yeah, no, I got the big gauntlet leather gloves going to be sure I didn't slice myself open when I was doing it, because I want to get the technique down, like you said. So back when I was living in Ontario, I went to the local junkyard and I told him what I was going to do. And I said, listen, do you want me to shell out for something? He goes, oh, half the windows are broken anyways. Go, what's a couple more? And he says he can't sell the seatbelts half the time. So he says, I prefer if you cut the back ones rather than the front ones, because they don't get worn out as fast. And He says, yeah, go ahead. So I gave him $30 at the end of the day, because I was there for some other parts anyways. And he was happy. I was happy. So it's a good place to do it.
But that is a good thing. Like we keep preaching this in almost every episode. We talk about gear to just practice with it, use it, and get used to using it in a non-emergent type of situation where you've got time to think and figure out how things work. Because if it's crunch time and you're trying to figure out how it works, well, that's not the time to figure out how it works.
In times of stress, we don't rise to our expectations; we fall to our level of training.
Yep.
So if your level of training is below your expectations, then you're going to have an undesirable outcome.
Or fight like you train like you fight, something like that.
Yeah.
Train harder than the fight.
It's also important that people realize that if you do have to break a window, it's best to break it in one of the corners rather than going for the center of the window.
Yep.
One thing too, if you guys, this is something I learned in the fire department. If you don't have a window punch, you can unscrew the antenna on a vehicle as long as it has that little ball at the end. And you basically, like Colin said, you'd hit the corner of the window, but you basically whip the antenna back, and then that'll smash the window pretty easily too. I've had guys in the fire department put gloves on and try to put their fist through it, and they do it a few times. I'm like, are you done yet? Because we're gonna be bandaging up your hand here soon, right? So it's pretty rare that you can break it with your fist.
Nope.
So,
and I don't think you're going to stop your fist from going through the jagged glass fast enough to not slice yourself up.
all right.
There's that too.
Not to
I just
mention,
wanted to mention too,
I've
I've got the same flashlight as Colin. Colin, you mentioned the PD TAC 85. That's the first light I bought like 5 years ago that I no longer carry because it's just too big, too bulky. I've had it accidentally turn on me. I know there's a side switch that you can reduce the power setting, but I always keep it on the highest, and the number of times I've had it turn on me. And then you're like, what's going on here? Oh, the flashlight's on, right? So anyways, I love the flashlight. I still have it in my truck. I've had it for 4 or 5 years now, but it's just way too big. So
Yeah, the whole pocket thing, that's why I just give it a quarter twist.
that makes sense. I've never tried that, or I've never or I thought about that. So that's awesome.
I'm going to try that with the little O light and see if that takes care of the problem I've been having. Probably will.
Yeah. Well, I only learned that after setting my pants on fire a couple times, just about. So they do get hot.
I'll give it a whirl. I'll let you know if it works out. Anybody on the panel have anything else to add in? Any last second submissions for EDC? All right, let's move into the podcast challenge.
Alrighty, so get 3 things added to your EDC, especially in the current crisis. So let us know what you added. Also, a bonus just came up this week between the chat groups here is there's a online ham course being offered. So if you have some self-isolation time and you want to make the best of it, take the online ham course, get your ham license. I think it's $50.
Yeah, it's $50 for if you're doing your basic ham operators. If you've already got your basic and you're looking to upgrade to your advanced, they are doing that as well. But they ask that you join the Radio Amateurs Club of Canada. I think it's about $100 fee for the year, and then they put that course on free for members. So
I'm signed up.
Yeah,
So yeah, we're gonna put a link to that in the show notes or something.
Yeah, I'll get a link tossed in for that. They're also working on a way to be able to administer the examination for your license remotely via internet as well. Because right now, the way it's written is you actually have to attend somewhere, either an Industry Canada office or an accredited examiner. So they're working on a way to actually be able to do it online so that you can properly social distance and still get your ham license. So that'll be good. And we'll move into some upcoming events.
All right, so we got the Podcaster Charity Shoot so far. Hasn't been canceled yet. Hosted by Slamfire Radio. That's going to be on July 4th, 2020 in Balmoral, New Brunswick. That's at the Restigouche Gun Club. This year's charity choice is going to be the Rod Harquail Memorial Fund, and you can register on Practice Score to buy tickets. The link is in the show notes. Actually, just a quick note of that. If it does get canceled, I was listening on Slamfire that they would just like you to at least register for the thing. And if it doesn't happen, you can just consider your registration basically your contribution to the charity for the year. Anyways, it's only $25, and you know they'd like you to at least sign up anyways. And even if it gets canceled, that's just the way it goes. But we'll see what happens. So far, it's on the go.
And coming up a week of May 3rd is Emergency Preparedness Week, and we'll have all kinds of super nerdy stuff for that.
Sure will. So annual Preppers Meet has actually now officially been canceled due to COVID. So it is not happening this year. The postings went up about a week ago or so from the event coordinator. So it's definitely canceled this year. There is some talk about maybe doing some online sessions, but we'll see what happens there. If that does get firmed up, we'll certainly let everybody know when, where, and how to access those. But for now, it's officially canceled for in person at least.
And for TACCOM Canada 2020, September 11th to 13th, the Canadian Pro Gun Podcasters Network will be in attendance at TACCOM 2020. Your favorite podcasters will be on hand throughout the show, so make sure you stop by the booth to meet your favorites and pick up some swag. You can see the details in the show, for the show at the ticket link in the show notes as well.
All right, we'll move into some shout outs. So for myself, just a quick shout out to BJ. He purchased a shirt from us a little while ago, and for some strange reason, I didn't get a notification that the order had come in. So apologies there, but it is in the mail, heading your way now. So thanks for the support, appreciate it.
Everybody who's everybody has a Canadian Prepper Podcast T-shirt.
It's true.
All the cool kids are doing it.
Yep.
Yeah. So I've got a couple shout outs. One to my dad, who computers have never been my dad's big friend, but he wanted to give us a review, but didn't know how to do it. So I just said, I'll listen to it. You just tell me. And so anyways, I got a text from him saying that he really enjoys listening to the show, and he's been listening now for a few months. So there you go. So shout out to the dad. And see your new listeners, Chris and Barb. They moved to the area recently, and they've decided to start listening to the show. So appreciate that. And as always, to my island mentor, he's always there when I need him for advice or whatever have you. So thanks again to him. Anybody else?
Sure. I'll give a shout out to the CCFR. If you enjoy firearms in the firearm community and want to keep your firearms, I suggest heading over to firearmrights.ca. Check them out. Get a membership there. Your membership dollars really stretch far and work towards our future in the firearm sports and hunting.
And actually, I forgot to mention that they are offering the free first season of Downrange TV on their website right now, are they not?
Yes, they are actually. So it's a great way to pass the time. And if you can't get to the range, you can do it vicariously by watching everyone else.
Yeah, it's like if you're going to binge watch something, there's an entire season of a TV show on their website. So you might have to go crazy on that.
As soon as you've used up all your Netflix stuff, away you go.
That's right.
I've been specifically out of contact with everybody, so I've got nothing to no one to shout out this week.
Fair enough.
Not even a Facebook fight or anything. I mean, wow.
I don't Facebook. I don't Facebook for a reason. Bad things happen when I do.
All right. Well, we'll move into iTunes and email reviews then. So for iTunes, we are up to 52 5-stars. We've got 5 4-stars, 2 3-stars, 1 2-star, and that one little guy still at 1 star, keeping us honest. So at least there's still more 5-stars than there is 1-stars. So we're doing something right. And then as far as email goes, email has been fairly quiet since last episode, but we did get a Facebook message a couple of episodes ago in regards to night vision and just a little bit of feedback from that. So I just wanted to wait until we had Colin back on and a few others that are able to talk about night vision. So I'll read that out and then we can get some comments from the panel on it. So it's a message from Cody, and he says there's a lot more options for Canadian users. One of the main things is end user agreements. Import, export is difficult but not impossible. And once ITAR item is in Canada with an end user agreement who bought it and from where you can prove you're not a gang or non-NATO military is filed, you are legal to own that item. As well, there are gens to night vision as well. As Omni, a generation is like any other item that level of technology is. Currently, we are at Gen 3 plus Gen 4. Omni is when the item is manufactured, making it slightly better than just normal material quality advances. Omni 8 is current. As for colored add-ons, the only colored Poet High G is to have digital, which is just large camera lenses, letting it in a lot of light to see the image better. You can get non-digital night vision in green or white, which is slight blue in color, and add amber filter, which would give an orange tint and helps with prolonged use. And of course, another popular option among Canadian night vision users is the we can't shoot at night until the world ends. So by then, who cares about ITAR? Yeah, valid point, I suppose. But any thoughts on the panel? And he sent some pictures in. I know I shared with you guys earlier in regards to some of his setup. So
I have been looking for night vision for a while, so I've been researching helmet-mounted and firearm-mounted lights. I mean, there's uses for each of those. Hunting pigs. I think some people coyote hunt with thermal imagery and stuff like that. But there's a company, I believe they're called Psionics, and they have a digital night vision binocular that you can mount on your helmet or on your rifle, and they have color capability, and some of them even have Bluetooth, so you could stream to other devices.
That's cool. You get techie with them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to try and get my hands on one, and when I do, we'll do a show on it.
Nice. Yeah, so basically what I'm getting out of this is it's just a matter of having the proper paperwork to import the items, and then as long as you've got the proper paperwork, you're good to go. Is that kind of it? Or
Yeah, I think as long as somebody gets paid and you fill enough paperwork, somebody's there. The government's happy, right? You got to pay your tax on it. That's what they want.
That's the key. Yep. All right. Well, we appreciate the feedback there, Cody, and if anybody wants to send some more feedback in, either feedback at prepperpodcast.ca or the more popular way right now seems to be on Facebook Messenger, so you can message in that way as well. And unless anybody from the panel has anything else to toss in, I'll do the outro.
Well, just a quick note. ITAR has been relaxed as of 2 weeks ago? It was like middle of March or something like that. They changed the ITAR rules. Now you can import mortars, grenade launchers, pretty much whatever you want. Believe it or not, the restrictions have gone way out. When it used to be, you couldn't even import a flash hider for your AR-15 without certain companies having certain export permits and stuff. And now they don't need export permits for a lot of stuff, and they moved it over to the Commerce Department versus the Customs, and it's changed quite a bit. So there'll be some interesting difference with that, I would think, with price as well, because it won't be as big of a deal to get stuff across the border.
Good to know.
Because the FRT also got published for the Canadian government, and it's amazing what's non-restricted out there.
Yeah. Excellent.
If you want to buy an artillery piece or something for a couple million.
So what you're saying is it's time to go shopping.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Excellent. So if you want to help support the show. All right. So with that, I'll bring episode number 62 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast to an end. You can find the podcast on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, or of course your favorite podcast app. Help? What the heck's an help? Anyways, please help us out and submit a review. It helps other people find us.
We do record these shows live on Facebook and YouTube. If you want an early peek at the shows, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Canadian Prepper Podcast, and click the notifications tab. That gives you alerts when we're going live. If you want to contact me directly, you can find me at alan@prepperpodcast.ca. That's Alan with one L, or on Instagram at PPSWO.
You're muted, Drews.
There we go. Sorry, guys. And I can be reached at hfxprepper@gmail.com or hughes@prepperpodcast.ca. And I have my own YouTube channel. Just search for HFX Prepper.
And if you got any questions or advice for me, you can reach me at tyler@prepperpodcast.ca.
Colin, where can we find you?
I'm on Instagram as CJ Saunders 11, and I'm also on Facebook, and I also have the public profile page for veteran type issues as well.
Roger, you got an email there as well?
For the Facebook?
For the veterans.
I usually just tell everyone to search me online. See Saunders, and there's two profiles. One's my personal profile, and the other one's my veteran advocacy page. So,
cool. All right. You can reach Ian directly by emailing me at theislandretreat@gmail.com. You can also find me on Canadian Patriot Podcast on iTunes and YouTube. We record on Monday evenings, same time. That's 9 p.m. Eastern. There you can find us by government waste and society in general triggered by Asperger's.
All right. And you can find me at rapidsurvival.com on the live chat while you're attempting to buy some prepper gear that is mostly out of stock right now. I'm trying to restock. It's just a pain to find things. You can also reach me at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca. So thanks for joining us this evening. And until next time, be prepared, stay safe,
and keep learning.